This is Omnus from the Ornation, and I'm here to bring you my Ara Vesta 2 tower build. And so I'm going to run through the gear real quick before we get started. I've got a Celestial Lute that has 4 Prometheus hands and 1 Prometheus heart. Both of my Amities are 40% crit bonus. I've got the Arisen Fae Crow Song in my offhand with Gorgon Eyes. And then I'm wearing an Arisen Rift Cowl with a mixture of Ashen Pinions and Pestilence. And then the same thing for my Arisen Rift chest plate. And then I've got the God-forged Arisen Aru leggings for starting ward turns. And then I'm wearing double Yimmer Vitra charms to get my status protection up to 88% as a Hydrus, which I think is pretty sweet. But we got a lot to cover, so I'm just going to launch right into the video now. So this is not meant to be a speed run, but surprisingly, it looks kind of fast when you're just playing it back. But my goal here is I do want to hit as many chests as possible, try to build up those bonuses as I'm climbing. And once I get through the first 20 floors, then I'm going to kind of try to hit every boss. I'm running the replica Themis pet in this particular build. And the reason for that is it's really just bonus tower shards. I would actually prefer the Ashen Phoenix, but since it's 5% bonus shards, you know, you gotta rack them in, spend them on those bonus materials and such. So trying to burn through things pretty fast. The build itself has the base 95% crit, so our Vesta 2 is going to crit basically every time. And the 88% status protection really puts me in a smooth spot. And so I very rarely get blinded, blighted, you know, any of the stuff. But obviously we're getting to collect quite a few early chests, which I always love to see. And, you know, as long as things stay smooth through those early floors, just knock them out pretty quick. At this point in my Ascension grind, I'm 84 at the time of the recording of the video. And so I do have a lot of focus on just grabbing almost any materials that I can as I'm climbing. This is usually a pack that I'll avoid if I can, just because they always just feel a little bit slower than the other things. But again, just trying to go quick. I don't want to spend too much time on those early floors. I'm trying to be really good about checking the tower button to kind of see where there's chests and which boss is going to be my preferred kill to climb up. This is a pack you do got to be a little bit careful of. I try to target the nitties first, just to get them out of the way while I have buffs. You'll even see in the spells that I most commonly use, I've got Verse 4, Realm Strikes 2, and either Terra Strike 3 or Terra Seal 3. That might shift up a little bit depending on whether I get attack buffs early or magic buffs early. But some of the time I will just throw the Terra Strike or Terra Seal into the nitties if I don't have a lot of those bonuses, just to make sure that that thing dies. So obviously this is a build that I've spent a lot of time working on. It's probably my favorite build. Even though I'm a chain shield, spiked shield user in a lot of situations, I just really like the smoothness of this with Hydrus because you've got the crit heal back. So I recover mana, recover health. It just keeps things moving really smooth. And the bonus ward turns is great. Like, it's just, I'm really surprised that those leggings give that many ward turns. It just keeps things going, you know, super smooth, and it makes it so it really freed up some other options because, you know, trying to get ward turns out of augments is just rough. You get one, and that's just not a lot. And so there was a point where I was actually running 2 augments for bonus ward turns, and that really kind of required me to run the Phoenix to kind of upkeep ward turns. But now with the starting 6, I'm totally fine with running Themis, and it goes pretty smooth. But her version of DC does not grant ward turns, so it is just a little bit slower. Or at least it, you know, not slower, but it doesn't help you out with the increasing ward as much. But as you can see, just kind of blazing through these mobs. Look at me, I'm getting in a little bit of my instinct of I want to kill multiple bosses, this is probably just me kind of getting into autopilot mode where I'm like, oh, I didn't need to kill that. But depending on exactly how much I'm paying attention, sometimes I'll just kill extra bosses because autopilot. But I can easily see how a chain shield build, especially with Blade of Finesse, is going to be faster than this build. But I really, really like the status protection, and that's really hard to do in conjunction with Chain Shield. And I love that this build will heal me back. So I feel like it's kind of a perfect combination of power and speed and consistency. And I'm always happy when I hit a floor like this that's got multiple chests and I don't have to dig through a puzzle to get to them. You just rack up those bonuses really fast. So, you know, as you can see, you're kind of, I'm climbing. It's been about 5 minutes and we're up 17 floors to just kind of give you a rough gauge. Now, obviously, if you're a little lower ascension level, that may not be quite as fast and you may not be one-shotting things quite as early. I will say that the 40% crit amities are huge for this build. I was using it before I got those, and I was kind of making do with whatever I could. I'm targeting the Carmines because I'm starting to notice that I'm getting a little low on Mandrake, and I'm noticing if I get low on Silphium, that could be a really obnoxious one to farm later on. So I'm just trying to be a little proactive about killing those sort of packs early on. So just checking there to see if there's any chests, because this is one of the last floors that I'm probably not going to do a full clear on. I could have probably skipped floor 20 to 30 from doing full clears, but I really wanted to kind of show you just how smooth this build operates in a lot of different fights. And so at this point, I'm going to pretty much start full clearing everything. Try to watch out. Some of the Berserk stuff, if I accidentally hit Realm Strike, won't always work depending on what floor, or if I've got a little bit of Anguish on. Right now, I'm not running any Anguish just because I want this to go very smoothly, and I don't have a ton of experience running towers with more than a couple points of Anguish on, but it is something I want to experiment with more. These arcane trolls, you do have to pay attention, because if you only kill one and then they do a really hard-hitting arcane attack, especially multiple of them, you can be a lot lower than you expect really fast. So just kind of watch out for those. Here, pretty smooth pack here, lots of targets. You're just hoping to get the early, hitting additional targets, which is fairly consistent. You'll have a few fights where that won't quite go your way. For the most part, I don't have a problem with the Berserks. Even if they hit you, since you have the starting ward turns. Meliodas, you got to be a little careful of those, especially if you miss the first one. I'll often try to target the one with the pet first, just to make sure that you don't get caught off guard by an awkward Lion's Execution. This fight, again, not really worried about it because the Ymir Charms give you 100% Petrify protection, and even though the Witch can confuse you, you've got 88% status protection. So, Risen Kings. See there, I did not target the one with the pet, which is something I try to be careful of. And then I miss my verse. Those always can get a little bit sweaty. And if you get real nervous about those, or you're really high on the floor, you can switch to Chain Shield for those fights. Here, I'll usually pick off some of the lesser mobs first, but because Gradlon can drop some debuffs, that just gets really annoying, so I'll pick him off first if I can. It's weird how some of the floors you can grab chests from one room over, but in this setup you can't. These guys second chance quite a bit, but at least they use the mighty charge or whatever and often kill themselves after they second chance. Picking off immortals, a lot of the time I'll find I'll have kingdom quests for killing immortals, and so I do try to grab those when I can, just to make sure that those quests stay moving. Earlier, before I had the higher status protection, you really had to target the Leviathan first, because getting frozen can really mess up that whole fight. And so that I would generally say target the Leviathan first is safer. But I'm trying to keep things fast paced because I don't want this video to go on forever for all of you. I have no idea how much length you want in the content. But see, we're still making really good time. 10 minutes in, we're getting close to floor 30. Sometimes when I see those puzzles, I'll just blow a key. I don't want to spend that much time on it if I'm getting a decent amount of keys. Keep things rolling smooth. I've been pretty happy to see the Valkyrie packs of late, just so I can build up the Balder again. You just never know what you're going to need for ascension levels. See there, I'm being a little bit smarter this time around. Get the Leviathan first. Don't mess around too much. The Gaia can be really annoying too, especially if your pet softens it up and gets the Mystic Feather into an awkward spot. That can certainly be annoying. So targeting the Gaia first is not an awful idea. That was probably one where in the last attack I probably should have used Terra Strike to give me more word turns in case the deity actually second chanced again, because I think I was going to be out of ward at that point. So it's another reason why having the Terra Strike or Terra Seal loaded can help out for some of those slightly longer fights. And it's amazing watching this video. I feel like I have it sped up, but this is totally just normal speed, 100% speed. I have not sped it up even the slightest percent, but it does look fast while I'm watching it. So, ooh, hardened steel. Always happy about that. As you can see in the build, I really like that I get a lot of accuracy out of both the chest piece and the head piece. That can kind of smooth things out as well. So, and honestly, this tower is just going really smooth. None of the fights causing bad hiccups. And always happy to see chimeras. I use a lot of dragonite in my refineries, just because it's a famed quality material, and so that's just always a pleasant thing. So always just means, ooh, cursed ortonite, hell yeah! Always happy to see that. So okay, boom. See, it's so nice when you start building up those buffs early and you one-shot the bosses and stuff right away. Man, sometimes with these chests that are really far away when I'm just trying to make good time, sometimes I'll skip them, but I really like it when I can hit all of the buffs and then start getting shards from the chests near, 47th floor, 48th floor, stuff like that. This is always a fight that is like, man, I could totally do without kobolds. This is a fight that I'm happy to pass. And occasionally I think that they are useful for quests, and then I realize that they're actually elite kobolds. So don't help with some of those in quests and stuff. I like killing the Ifrits because burning, even if you get burned, does not matter. It's never going to cost you a turn. So that's pretty reasonable. I try to hit verse when there is a single target just to make sure, just good muscle memory, because sometimes as you get into the higher floors, an Ara Vesta won't one-shot the boss mobs. So, but I think at this point I'm getting enough buffs going that it doesn't really matter. So you see there, I target the Leviathan instead of the Fallen God, because I want to make sure that the Leviathan gets off the table, just in case I get another second chance and I don't hit 2 targets with it. And watching this again, it just feels like it goes so fast. See here, occasionally I get tempted to kill these strays just because I'm thinking about the mats, and I'd rather do them here and there right now than hit that ascension level and suddenly be like, well, I need 4,000 Mandrake. How do I plan on getting that? These, sometimes I get a little worried about the Ronins, but I'm like, remember, oh, they're not immortal lords. It'll be fine. But if you do turn on Anguish a little bit, you have to be a little cautious there. This is one of the packs is why I often have Realm Strikes loaded. Especially when there's one guy left, I'll usually just Realm Strikes it, because with my decreased miss chance, the chances of missing with a Realm Strikes is pretty low. It's even better if you're running the Ashen Phoenix, which I still think is a really good idea. I've just hit a point that I'm kind of comfortable with the Themis. So this is always a little dangerous when your first attack only kills one cactus. I've definitely lost some towers on that, but for the most part, as long as your defense doesn't go down, and you keep the double defense up, that fight's not too bad. And I don't really care that much about the Tower Guardians. They give keys, but I'm at a point where I'm always come out positive on keys from doing 50 floor towers. Mortal Lords, these can be a little bit of a worry, but when they go first and you have ward up and double defense up, it's really easy for me to zero them out. But the second chance a lot. It's a pack that I'll certainly skip if I'm feeling nervous at all. So heading over. Ooh, always, it's funny. I didn't care about the slimes for a long time, and then I hit a point where I had Godforged like 4 of the bulwarks, and I was just getting a little low on Darkstone. And now I'm just really happy whenever I see a dark slime. Just always happy to build up a little extra Darkstone. Again, I always try to pay just a little bit more attention when I hit the Immortal Lord packs, just because, yeah, you never know. Keep an eye in case they get a big spike. You just kind of regroup. Maybe it's a time that you're going to restart the tower. Just exit out and come back in. But a little warning that once you hit your attack, the game has already figured out everything that the bosses are going to do. So I would let it play out, just so you don't get screwed out of all of your shards. If you restart and you're going to die anyway, then then you just lose everything. So getting into the 40 floors. So now those Beowolves can be a little dangerous, man. Yeah, see, that's where I probably could have just used a puzzle key to go through that one, but I really don't want to get stuck on a really bad puzzle on like floor 49 and not have any of the keys left. So I'm probably being a little more conservative than I need to. It's another pack. Again, I just like the mats, and so I'm happy to kill those whenever I see them. But this is pretty full clear. Gorgons, again, not a problem. They go down to the spells pretty easy. Man, I'm getting a lot of Immortal Lord packs in this one, but you can see with the Ascensions and the double defense up, it's not a big worry. Things just die. I don't think I've had a status effect hit me this entire tower, which, man, I do not like status effects. And these Pegasus packs annoyed me when I was in early tier 10, because I always had ice enchanted weapons, and it just made life very difficult. But now I'm just pretty happy to kill them for the mats. They will blind me every once in a while or sleep me, but again, it doesn't come up very much. And with the Themis pet, I can often get it cleared anyway. So it's, as you can see, it's maybe troublesome for some builds, but this does not care. This will cleave right through them. So already good. 18.5k shards. That's not bad. I usually like to be a little bit higher at this point, but not all Week's towers are created equally. Man, when I'm hitting 20k shards and it's like just getting to floor 41, that always feels good. But still gonna be a decent chunk. And obviously you could copy this strategy and not do the earlier floor full clears, but I find I like towers, and if I'm really consistent about doing, kind of 20 to 35, which is not something I always did, I feel like it ends up adding up to like having a whole extra tower worth of shards when I'm doing 450 floor towers a day. Again, it's just not a problem for this build. You just so rarely get the status effects, and you have no problem hitting them. Every once in a while, you'll get one where the pet has kind of softened it up a little bit. Again, here, these higher floor towers, get the Niddy first. The rest of them are not that big of a deal. But the Nidhogg, man, they can have some pretty nasty crits. If you've got any sort of dragon resist, it's not a big deal, but it's when you don't, you have to keep it in mind the whole time. So Man, always enjoy the Twilight Stone grabs here. Got some pretty smooth clears. Hoping I'm getting pretty close to max buffs. There's a few immunities that I'm missing. Not sure I'm going to get any bonus shards from chests in this one. But see, we're getting to the high floors. When you have the double defense up, the fact that they go first just doesn't end up mattering. Oh, Greater Souls. Man, I'm getting some good end of floor rewards. Always try to keep an eye out for these, especially when I've got one of those kingdom quests that include Garms, or if I've grabbed a random in-quest that includes killing Garms. I do try to, have an easy way of finishing those off. Man, always wish I had something to Godforge in this build while I'm going up. Get all these Godforge chances. That random Realmore is because the pet has Arc Alchemy, not because those things actually drop Realmore. Keep from confusing people. These are always pretty chill fights. You got to watch. There's a lot of second chancing going on, but they're just not really that dangerous of mobs, so I don't stress them. Getting real close. The last floor, moving up, and I do switch to an Ultima Strikes build for the tower bosses, just because they are resistant. They have they always get the super effective from Ultima. So at this point, I've got pretty much every buff. So I'll just Word of Wart Knight, Mimic's Mischief, and then Gate of Gunner, and then I just start tossing the Ultima Strikes. If I've got the Phoenix, it'll upkeep the ward turns for me. And there we go. Get the pseudo DC action going on. When I don't have the Phoenix, I will often have to cast one more Ward of Wart Knight for safety, just to keep the ward turns up. But there you go. Pretty smooth. She goes down. That's 25,000 shards before her, so I think it came out to right about 26. But you can see, did the whole tower in about 21 minutes, and got a crap ton of shards, went super smooth. So if you're looking for something that's not Chain Shield, this build, it still really works, still really smooth. So thank you for watching. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, because that's what you're supposed to say when you're on YouTube. Later, nerds.